Hey everyone, it's Caroline and welcome back to my channel. If you guys are new here, I do a lot of day in my life vlogs, some productivity, digital stuff, lifestyle. Yeah, we're still working on what we do here. If you guys enjoy that type of content, I highly recommend you subscribe to my channel because that will definitely be coming back really soon. I'm not doing a vlog this Sunday. A lot has been going on this week, so I decided I would just take the time today to film a video talking about my gap year experience. If you guys have been here before, you may or may not know that I took a gap year from college this year. I was supposed to go into my sophomore year of college, but basically because of COVID and everything it affected, I ultimately decided to take a gap year and that it would be the best decision for myself personally. Oh no, now the sun decides to come out. Okay, sorry if the lighting's just gonna be a little wonky, but we're dealing with the sunset here. And it was cloudy, so anyway. In this video, I wanted to just talk a little bit more about why I took a gap year, what my plans were for my gap year, and what I actually ended up doing for my gap year. And then I'll close with just some final thoughts about my gap year experience, what I think about it, and yeah, I will leave all the timestamps below just so you guys can easily find it. And with all that being said, let's get started with the video. So I wrote down just like vaguely some of the points that I wanted to mention during the video just so I don't get lost, because knowing me, whenever I talk about something, I tend to ramble a lot. And sometimes there's just no stopping me. So I made sure that I knew exactly what topics I want to hit so this video doesn't end up being like an hour long. So the first thing we're going to talk about is why I decided to take a gap year. Now, as I mentioned in the intro, mainly it was all just because of COVID, but most importantly, it was what COVID affected. So the first thing that was really concerning to me right off the bat was that all of my classes were going to be online. Now, I know everybody's different when it comes to learning, whether it's in person, online. Some people, they don't mind doing it online. For me, I knew that I wouldn't be able to actually learn and retain information if I had all of my classes online. The reason why I knew that I personally wouldn't do well with online learning was because when we had to switch right in the middle of the semester, spring 2020, when we were all sent back home and I had to do the rest of my classes online at home. First of all, I was at home, so that was like not the whole college environment, and it was just really weird just getting adjusted to that. But also, I was just getting work done for my classes just to get it done. I wasn't retaining any information whatsoever. I was taking a finance class at the time, and I was trying so hard to actually like learn and retain information that whole semester just because one of my majors is finance. So I was like, it's my first finance class, I have to like really try and get all this down. But you know, once we went online, it was just really difficult to retain that information. So just from that experience in the spring semester, I knew that taking all these online classes, it just wouldn't work for me. And then kind of going along with that, another reason why I decided to take the gap year was because I just transferred. So a little bit of backstory, I started as an actuarial science major and I was in the liberal arts and science college at my school. But halfway through freshman year, I decided, okay, you know what, actuarial science, I mean, those of you who do it, you guys are amazing. It just wasn't for me, and I knew that I wanted to go into business in some aspect. So my next choices were finance and accounting. So that was my goal, was to transfer into that. But those were in the business school, and I basically just had to like reapply to actually go to the school that I was already at just to get into the business school, because they had like a separate application, and the only time you could transfer into the business school while being at that university was by submitting your application the spring semester of your freshman year. That was the only time. So thankfully I knew right away freshman year that I wanted to change my major and go into the business school, because otherwise it wouldn't have worked out. Thankfully I got accepted into the business school and I'm going to be majoring in finance and accountancy. So I knew I was going to be taking classes for at least my finance major already, and I also knew I was going to be taking a lot of the business core requirement classes, and I just knew it was going to be something super new, so I didn't want to miss out on the opportunity to be learning in person in the classroom because that's what works best for me. Another reason why, which I kind of touched on already, is just I felt like I wouldn't be getting my money's worth. It's just, you're paying all this money to be taking these classes and everything, and if I already knew that by taking the classes I wouldn't be retaining the information well, then what's the point of paying all that money? You know what I mean? So there was that. And finally, another reason was I really just felt like I was gonna be missing out on the college experience. For me, the social aspect was really important because I tend to be a very introverted person just in general. When I'm around my friends, my friends know I'm crazy, but putting me just in a group of strangers, I don't do well. I tend to keep to myself, I'm quiet, I'm shy, and being able to surround myself around a lot of people that I wouldn't know, but you know, slowly taking the steps to, you know, introduce myself or, you know, have a conversation with someone that I just met about anything, you know? Just little things like that were really important to me, and I knew as long as there were like all these COVID restrictions and guidelines that I wouldn't want to be really breaking any rules because that's just the type of person I am, and I just felt like I would really be missing out on, you know, the socialization aspect of college. One thing I wanted to mention is that if it wasn't for COVID, I would have never taken a gap year. It was never on my mind to take a gap year. I always knew that I just wanted to get through school, not take any breaks because, you know, with school I've always just been go, go, go. So I just never saw a point in it. But, you know, then COVID came and then it affected all these things that I just talked about, and that's the ultimate reason why I took the gap year. So those are some reasons why I ended up taking the gap year. Now I'm going to move on to what I was planning on doing during my gap year. So once I made the decision to take a gap year, it was about mid-end July, something like that. I started writing down different ideas of different things I could try and accomplish during my gap year because I wasn't going to be the person that was just gonna sit around and do nothing for a full year, even though I kinda ended up doing that a lot. But we'll get to that. So yeah, I just wanted to make a list for myself just so I had some sort of idea of what I could be doing with my time. So I'm just gonna list off all of the things that I was thinking about doing, and then we'll move on to what I actually did. Some of the things that I planned on doing was networking just with, you know, companies, different employers, all this stuff just for post-college, working on my interview skills since I know that interviews are going to be happening a lot in my future now, whether it's for internships, getting a job, different organizations, things like that. I was planning on learning a few new languages, and I think the languages I narrowed it down to ended up being French and Italian. I don't know if there was any more. I know I was also brushing up on Polish and Spanish. Then I wanted to review some of my past course materials just to make sure I didn't like lose anything that I knew I would need. So like, for example, the finance class I took, I wanted to just look through my notes a little bit and make sure I wasn't going to be losing everything I learned or tried to learn, especially in the spring when we went online. I also wanted to take a few gen ed courses through my community college because I knew those would be online, so I could easily just do that while I was at home. I was also thinking about starting either a blog or a YouTube channel, so I'm sure you guys know that I did one of those already. Then I wrote down travel ? This was just all going to be up to, you know, how COVID was going to play out, and, you know, if things were going to be opening up super quick, then I was just thinking, you know, maybe I could travel. Not like too far, but, you know, somewhere within the States. I also wanted to try and earn some certifications, so like anything that I could put on my resume, anything that could help me towards my degree, things like that. I also wanted to do some research on different careers, so as I mentioned, I am majoring in finance and accountancy, so they go together, but they're also super separate, and they just have so many branches within themselves, so there's a lot of research to be done that in terms of what you can do with a finance and accounting degree career-wise. And the last thing I had was to plan a workout routine. This is definitely the time in my life that I need to, start figuring out a workout routine for myself, just, to stay healthy and get motivated to work out. So those are all the things that I was planning on doing during my gap year. Now let's see if I actually did them or not. So the way I'm going to kind of talk to you guys about what I did is in 2-month intervals. So we're going to start with July and August. Once I figured out I was going to be taking gap year, I made that list of things I wanted to do, and then I went straight into a few of the things right away. So the first thing I started doing was very, very, very extensive research on how to make a blog. Now, why did I want to do a blog? I don't know. I wasn't really much of a writer or anything, so I don't know, it just kind of came out of the blue. I just wanted to, do something creative and do something that would keep me busy, basically. But after a few weeks of research and, writing all this stuff down, I never ended up going through with it. I just knew it wasn't really a passion of mine. I feel like if you're not really passionate about something, then you're not gonna be putting your best work out there, and I was like, it's not worth it. No. So then what I ended up doing is I signed up for 2 gen eds for the fall semester that I could do online through my community college back at home, and I went through with those, completed them. We'll talk about that later. Then I also researched a few different certifications that I may or may not be able to do and complete, but unfortunately the things that I was interested in cost money, and I didn't really want to be spending money, so I didn't go through with those either. Oh yeah, and also at some point during the whole pandemic, I know my mom and I, we binge watched The Challenge starting from season 11 all the way till, what were they at that point? 35, 36? So we did that. I don't know if we were still doing it in July and August or if we were already done. So moving on to September and October, I started my 2 online gen eds. I also set up a Google Calendar schedule for myself, and within that calendar, I made sure to put specific days and times that I would work on networking, work on my interview skills, work on learning all those languages, and work on reviewing some of those past course materials. And I ended up keeping up with the schedule within those 2 months. Another thing I did is I went to my school's virtual career fair. I was able to talk to a few different companies and just learn so much. And I actually ended up getting a few interviews during this time through that career fair. And another thing I was also doing is helping my brother with his online school, since at that point he was still all online, so I was helping him out quite a bit. Moving on to November and December, I finally finished those 2 online gen eds. I got A's in both of them. I wasn't really expecting anything less, especially since it was just 2 classes. I was also slowly losing interest in that Google Calendar schedule I made, and I basically just wasn't doing as much as I wanted to anymore. Again, I kept helping my brother with his online school stuff. Oh, and did I mention I finally started my YouTube channel. That is still going strong for the most part, so I'm super happy that I actually went ahead and started it. Moving on to January and February. January, new year, I set a lot of new goals for myself, which I have a video on if you want to check that out. I should probably check that out too, because I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember half of those goals that I set for myself. I should definitely do a video at the end of the year kind of reviewing them and seeing what I actually ended up doing and what I didn't actually do. I was also submitting applications for different internships and leadership conferences through a bunch of different companies. I continued working on my YouTube videos. I finally started working out a bit and kind of creating a little routine for myself. So since I was losing interest in the Google Calendar schedule I made for myself, I decided to create a brand new one, just have a fresh new start, and I also have a video on that if you want to check that out. Then I also worked on a free certification through my school that I totally forgot I signed up for a few months back, and I just never completed, and I still had time to complete it, so I went ahead and did that, and I earned the certification. Still helped my brother with his online school at this point, and I also went to another career fair. Now we are at March and April. At this point, I completely stopped using the Google Calendar I made for myself. I just hit a point where I was like, what's the point in doing all of this? I mean, yes, some of it was helpful, but some of it I was just like, the languages, for example. I was like, when am I ever going to need French or Italian? Maybe if I go abroad at some point or just travel, but like I could easily just brush up on like some basic things without having to completely know and learn the language. And kind of going off of that with like, you know, losing motivation to do stuff. The whole working out thing was definitely on and off at this point too. Thankfully, it was starting to get warmer out, so I was finally able to go on some walks and get some fresh air. That definitely helped a lot. Then I also applied for some leadership positions within different organizations I was a part of at my school, since all those applications were starting to come out for the new school year, and I knew I would 100% be returning. And also I got to register for my fall classes, so that was super nice because it just made the fact that I'm going back to school that much more real, and I am beyond excited to go back. And moving on to now, which is May, I am continuing making YouTube videos and watching my brother a lot while my parents are working, and I'm pretty sure all of my friends are done with school by now, so I'm just getting ready to keep seeing some more friends and just, you know, enjoy the summertime. Just to list off a few like general things that I've done through this gap year, I learned how to cook a lot more. Definitely have been making a lot of dinners while I've been home, not just for myself, but like for everyone, so it's legit. I know I mentioned working out a few times, so I've definitely had kind of an on-off relationship with it. I definitely still do. Again, I was helping my brother out with school a lot and just helping out with my brother a lot in general. Yeah, just going off of that, definitely spent a lot of time at home and with my family, so that was pretty nice. And also along with that, I spent a lot of time watching some reality TV, especially with my mom. We watched a lot, and I also watched a few TV shows on my own on Netflix that I've really enjoyed. Glad I had plenty of time to do that. So yeah, that's pretty much the whole timeline of what I've done. For some reason, a lot of that stuff towards the beginning seems like so long ago. So I wanted to just discuss some of my thoughts on my gap year. So I'm just gonna start out with the negative thoughts just to get those out of the way so we can end on a positive note. Some of the negative things were I felt like I wasn't really getting anything done. As I kind of mentioned earlier in the video, I'm the type of person that's kind of always like go, 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 especially with school. So just having to readjust to the fact that I didn't really have much responsibilities and things I had to actually be doing, it was a weird adjustment. Also, at this time, I wasn't really earning any money because there was no way for me to give out really much availability to a job just because I was watching my brother a lot. So there was just really no way for me to get a job at this time. It's okay. I'll get money in the future. I definitely feel like I lost a lot of social skills. I mean, just in general, I'm not the most social person, but you know, not really being able to socialize in person with a lot of people, it was really difficult. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about that. Going off of that, I definitely stopped talking to a lot of friends. I would only talk to them, you know, every once in a while, and even with that, it would be usually a short conversation. And I feel like a lot of people that I know can agree with this, that they've kind of gone through the same thing, you know. I was actually able to see a few friends this past week, and some of them were saying that they were feeling the same way, that like they just didn't have like the motivation to even like reach out or anything because they themselves were just like in just a weird place, I guess you can say. So yeah, it definitely affected a lot of us socially because of the pandemic, of course. Mental health wise, I feel like I definitely hit a low point for myself, at least, especially in the winter when I wouldn't even go outside or anything because it was just too cold here, and I didn't feel like bundling up just to go and walk because I didn't have the motivation to do that. And yeah, I mean, I know I'm the type of person that, you know, I tend to get into my head a lot about a lot of things, and having all this time to myself with my mind and just like thinking about so many different things, it was a lot. Definitely when it was warmer out and I could actually, you know, go on walks to clear my head, or, you know, see some friends outside. That was definitely better because at least there was some sort of social interaction with someone other than my family members that I live with. So we're just gonna toss that all aside, you know? We are done with the negative parts of my gap year. Now moving on to the positive parts. I finally had time to relax. All throughout my educational journey, I guess you could say, I was always super stressed with school. It was just progressively getting worse from like elementary school to high school. It was just an upward slope for me in terms of stress. And it was because I always put a lot of pressure on myself. No one was putting the pressure on me. It was me, myself, and I. I don't even know why. So actually having the time to not be doing anything, again, there was like some negative aspects to it, but at the same time, it was just like so refreshing. You know? Another positive, I started my YouTube channel. I've probably thought about doing it since like middle school, but I always brushed it off and I'm like, no, you're never gonna do that. But yeah, you know, the pandemic gave me time to actually think about it, and then taking this gap year, it was like, wow, I have all this free time. Why not try something new? So I'm really happy I did. Another positive, I got to spend some time with family, so that was nice. I also got to learn more about future careers. It was good to kind of just take time to, you know, network, research different companies and different job opportunities. Overall, on a positive note, I feel like this gap year, it really just gave me a lot of time to reflect and just think about what I want out of life. Yeah, I definitely don't want to get too deep here, so we're just, yeah, and you know, the natural light, it's really going away really quickly at this point, and I'm also losing so much storage while I'm recording, so I have to keep like stopping and airdropping and pressing record again, and yeah, it's a mess. Overall, final thoughts. Was it worth it? Overall, I would say yes. I feel like I definitely needed this time to just take a break, and I didn't even know it. I guess you could say it was a blessing in disguise. You know, I'm just grateful that I was able to make the best out of my situation. You know, keep myself a little bit busy at times, but also take plenty of time to relax. Yeah, that is it for my gap year experience, COVID edition. I hope you guys enjoyed. Really hope this video is not too long, because the fact that it's taken me so long to record it is kind of scaring me. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below any questions you guys have or any videos that you guys want to see next. I hope you all have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye. That's a big bug. Okay, hold on. We're gonna move a little closer here and hope that, oh, I'm mad because the sun is just, I don't know what to do. Okay. The lighting is gonna be so messed up in this video. The Notebook, it's back. Oh gosh, yeah. No bueno. Especially after this year of barely socializing with people, it's gonna be rough going back to college, but I'm super excited for it. Why did I want to do this? I don't really know. Okay, well, I know Polish, sort of, for the most part. Maybe not the best grammatically. We binge watched. Really nice. I need to think of a different word. See? Another negative. My vocabulary, not the best.
We could be dancing in the stars, we could be floating on away. As long as I'm safely in your arms, and it don't really matter where we stay. 'Cause, babe,